Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another live stream. This is your host, Jacob Wolfman. Show's just getting started, as always. Gotta wait for you guys to tune in. Today we're talking about NASKA's creative division. We're gonna break down the rules so that you guys can kind of understand it a little bit more. But we're also gonna point out some of the reasons why it's so difficult to understand in the first place, offer some suggestions for how we can fix it, offer some suggestions for you as a competitor, as a parent, of how you can protect yourself and make sure that the rules are being applied fairly and justly. Just taking a minute to set up the show here before we get started. Let me get a little different screen here. Hey guys, what's up? So if you're tuning in, make sure you say hi. Make sure you drop a floating thumbs up. Make sure you are pumped. Today's going to be a really interesting show. I would say it's a little controversial. I know it's a pain point for a lot of you guys out there, and you have a lot of questions about this, and rightly so. There is a lot to be questioned for the NASKA creative division. It's about 12 years, I think this division has existed in the NASKA circuit, and it has not been the most well thought out division of the last 12 years. I have a lot of gripes about it, so we're going to talk about it. I'm going to try to be respectful about it, but the goal here is to help out the competitor, make the sport better. I'm going to wait for a couple more people to tune in here before we get the show started. Feel free to kick back and watch, whatever we got going on here. I am going to load up a video here because I really want to share this. So if you guys are just tuning in, say hi, say what's up. If you're watching the replay, then you can go ahead and skip forward until you see the show credits begin. That's how you can always know, if you ever watch replay, where to start. So hopefully that helps you out if you didn't catch on to that. I try to have a little bit of like a screenshot in there to start the show every time. Yeah, let's get this video. Can we get this video up? Can we do that? Am I capable?
You can either live your dreams or live your fears. And I think the majority of people actually are living their fears.
There is no passion to be found playing small.
As you look at your life, what fears am I holding on to? It's keeping me from breaking out.
I was just always scared about what people thought about me.
I would go to lunch and have no one to sit with.
It's the fear of letting certain people down or even letting myself down.
You have got to get to a point where you say, I'm sick and tired of living like this. There's got to be more.
What's up, Nathan? Amy?
There's another story. How you live matters.
The first step before anybody else in the world believes it is you have to believe it.
Hey guys, can you hear me a little bit more? Can you hear me a little bit
Something
more?
you never had, you have to do something you never did.
You cannot let a fear of failure
All right, we're gonna get the show started in just a minute. Just waiting for more people. More people tune in. Give me some full thumbs up if you can hear me now.
I was weird.
If you embrace what's happening instead of denying it, you can make it your own.
Take risks, dare to fail.
Who cares if somebody doesn't think it's cool?
All right, I'm gonna stay quiet for a minute so you can just listen to this video.
I'm experienced now, professional. Jaw's been broke, been lost, knocked down a couple
I turn people's negative emotions into fuel.
Bad!
The world doesn't care how many times you fall down as long as it's one fewer than the number of times you get back up.
You must be willing to go forward and face your fears again and again and again.
Break through your fears.
Stand up for yourself.
Stand up for what you believe in. Let no one bring you down. Go out there, live your life.
As you begin to feel that you deserve it, your passion and goal is so strong, the fears won't matter.
All right, we're gonna get started in just a minute here, guys. So just stay tight, stay tuned. We're going to be talking about NASKA today, NASKA's creative division. We're going to break down the rules for you, then explain it.
You can either live your dreams
maybe some creative
or
ideas
live
of
your
what you
fears.
can do within that division.
And I think the
stuff
majority
that
of
other
people
haven't
actually
tried yet,
are living
that are
their
within
fears.
within the confines of the rules.
There is no passion to be found
let's see.
playing small.
As you look at your life, what fears am I holding on to? It's keeping me from breaking out.
I was just always scared about what people thought about me.
I would go to lunch and have no one to sit with.
It's the fear of letting certain people down or even letting myself down.
You have got to get to a point where you say, I'm sick and tired of living like this. There's got to be more.
See it. Where is?
There's another story.
Judges.
How you live matters.
The first step
There it is.
before anybody else in the world
I'm ready to
believes
start
it
the
is
show.
you
You
have
guys
to
ready to
believe
start
it.
the show?
only thing we have to fear is
To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did.
You cannot let a fear of failure
All right.
stop you
All right.
from doing
Let's
what's going to
get
make you
to
great.
It just clicked one day and what?
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, welcome to Live with Wolfman. I'm your host, Jacob Wolfman. This is a live stream show. It's about we, not me. This is about the live stream. The people that are in the chat get to participate, and we get to have a conversation. This show is about martial arts. It's about all kinds of stuff related to the things that I'm interested in and the things you're interested in. Last weekend was the Diamond Nationals, and we had a really awesome show. We highlighted some of the competitors that from Diamond, some of the cool forms and stuff, the ones that you guys wanted to see, the ones you guys recommended. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about NASKA, and we're going to be breaking down the creative division. Now, if you heard me in previous episodes, I may have gone on what people call the hashtag Wolfman rant, and kind of lost my temper a little bit. Today, I'm going to try not to lose my temper. I'm going to try to be a little bit more educational and straightforward with you guys and teach you about the NASKA creative division. Just a fair warning, a heads up, I have some gripes. I have some serious concerns about the way that the rules are stated, and it causes a lot of confusion. A lot of confusion for the judges, a lot of confusion for the athletes, and a lot of confusion for the parents. Now, I follow the basic philosophy here of don't hate the player, hate the game. Anybody that plays within the rules, it's fair play, and you're just doing what you need to do to win, and I'm not going to hate you at all if you go ahead and actually follow the rules. And if somebody has a problem with it because they don't think that you're following the rules, then it's really up to the judges to be able to interpret the rules and properly execute the right call. So we're going to figure out some of the drops in communication here. I actually took a couple notes to try to make this show a little bit more well thought out instead of just me rambling on. So today, here's the things. First, I'm going to state the rules so that we all understand what the rules are for the creative division. Then what I'm going to do is talk about what is allowed. Then we're going to talk about some things that aren't allowed. Then we're going to go into a little bit of the gray area where some of the confusion comes from. Next, we're going to talk about movements that are technically allowed in creative per the rules, but you often will get disqualified, or you always get disqualified, even though the rules say you can do it. So that's a very controversial subject matter, which is like kind of the main point of this episode, is to bring to attention some of these things. Let's see. Before we do that, I just want to say hi to people that are in the chat. I want to see who's here today, dropping in here. What's up, Chrissy? What's up, everybody? All right, let's do this. All right. We got a big audience today. This is awesome. You guys are really interested in this. I got 33 active viewers for the Jacob Wolfman Live with Wolfman show. Not too bad. Episode 16. All right. Oh, and then the last thing I'm going to be talking about today is I'm going to give you guys some of my thoughts on how we can make a better rule system. These are just my thoughts, my opinions this whole time. I don't represent NASKA. I'm not speaking for Hyper. I wore just regular clothes today because I am not speaking for anyone here. This is all my opinion. This is all me. So if anybody, like, you want to get mad at anybody, you can get mad at me for the things I have to say. Hopefully you're not going to get mad at me. It's not supposed to be something you get mad at, but I do understand that this is a topic of frustration for many people. So without further ado, let's break down what the NASKA Creative Division rules actually say. I'm just going to read them right now. I have right here on my screen, NASKA.com. These are the rules. What is this? I have a little... I hate when the graphics don't work the way I want it to. Yeah, go away, buddy. All right, so here it is. It says, creative forms and weapons. The creative division allows forms to include contemporary martial arts techniques that have evolved over the last 30 years. These may be added to a traditional form, or the form may be devised in its entirety by the competitor. The creative division was formerly known as the Open, and before that, the American division. A form in the creative division must only include techniques. This is the important part here. This is where the real rules come into play. Before that was just fluff, really. I'll give you a little legacy. The creative division must only include techniques which originate from martial arts, and like traditional division, emphasis will be placed on execution of the techniques, application of the techniques, balance, speed, power, solid stances, and focus. Spinning kicks, jumping kicks, flying kicks, multiple kicks, splits, weapons twirls, weapons releases, and other creative martial arts techniques are permitted. Obviously, we know all that stuff. That's not controversial. None of this is controversial yet. Movements that involve more than a 360-degree spin, there we go, require the body to be inverted more than parallel to the floor, or are similar to movements found in gymnastics and or non-martial arts disciplines, or forms that meet the above definition of strictly traditional forms, will result in a downgrade by the judges, or upon a unanimous vote from the judges, a no score as a form inappropriate for the division. All right, now we've entered into a whole range of subjectivity. What in the heck is a gymnastics versus martial arts move, especially in today's culture? I don't know where the line begins and ends there. So I don't understand that at all. It is nothing, doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. I get where you're coming from, but you can't execute that. That's totally subjective and up to the judges. Anyhow, although one creative move qualifies a competitor for the creative division, it should be expected that a creative form or weapons routine with multiple creative moves of good quality would prevail as the winner, assuming all other criteria is met. I find this super interesting that it's in bold, because I'll give you guys a history lesson about the creative division. When NASKA first started the creative division, they didn't do it to have an extreme division without tricks, which is what it is today. They created the creative division as a way for the traditionalists to kind of step outside the tradition a little bit. So there's a spectrum, right? There's traditional division, there's the extreme division, and they hope to have the creative division actually represent traditional, but maybe with a couple extra cool stuff. But what ended up happening is the creative division went way over here, and it's very similar to the extreme. So some of these rules just like they don't represent what's actually going on. A new update to the rules. The following techniques are legal in the creative forms weapons division: butterfly kick, illusion kick, forward roll, and kip up. They will be scored as any other techniques: power, speed, accuracy, and proper execution. And then there's a bunch of commentary here, but I don't care what it says because it isn't actually a rule. It's just commentary. I'm providing my own commentary today. So let's see here. So let's talk about, first of all, in the creative division, what is allowed. Let's all come together and agree with what is obviously okay. Spin kicks are okay, right? Like a spin wheel kick or spin outside crescent, as some people call it. Or spin inside crescent, whatever. Like a kick where you never leave the ground at any point. You spin around and kick. Totally legal, right? Right. Give me floating thumbs up if you agree. 100% legal, right? Let's talk about airborne spins. What about a tornado kick? Is a tornado kick legal? Thumbs up if you agree tornado kick is legal. Yes, I think everybody in the chat, everybody that listens to the replay, we all agree that the tornado kick is legal. Okay? So we all know that. Butterfly kick, everybody does a butterfly kick in creative. Yep, it's legal. It's legal. It explicitly says it's legal in the rules. No question there. All right? Now, what about things that aren't legal? Now, what isn't illegal? What about a cheat 900? Is a cheat 900 legal? No, because it violates the 360-degree spin rule. Duh. 1080? Nope, can't do it because that's more than the 360 spin rule. Okay, great. I think we're all on the same page here as far as like the things we've all agreed so far what is legal and what isn't legal. Now I'm going to introduce you to some concepts here that's going to make you scratch your head and go, wait, what? Or maybe you already realized this and you've just been thinking this all along and finally somebody's saying it. So before I talk about the head scratching moves, we have to be clear, and the rules aren't clear here, and this is one of the biggest problems. We have to be clear about what is a spin. We have to define, how do you count a spin? At what point does that measurement happen? Okay? Now, I believe that the purpose of counting spins was to limit the tricks, right? We're counting trick spins. So tricks are things that happen in the air, typically, right? Airborne techniques. So when I'm talking about spins, and what the judges actually, and I have evidence to show you this, when judges are talking about spins, they're talking about how many times in the air did you spin before you landed. Okay, now that's a key distinction that we have to wrap our heads around. We have to understand this. This is where the confusion comes into play. When we are only talking about the moment that your body leaves the earth until the time it touches the earth again, that is a very defined set of measurement for how you measure spins. I think that is the appropriate way to measure spins because everything else is left up to subjectivity. For example, if you are going to do let's say you do a tornado kick. Now, I don't know if this might be silly, but I'm going to bring in my guest host here. His name's Little Mr. Monkey here. What's up, guys? Whoa, I'm going to show you some kicks today. Woohoo! All right, so regularly, like here's my monkey guy, and he's going to do a tornado kick, right? He's going to come up and kick. Boom. He started here. He spun once, or he spun a half turn. He kicked. Bam. Okay? But what if he started over here, and then he took a step, and then he did a tornado kick? Boom. Now how many spins is that? It gets... Okay, forget the monkey. The monkey was stupid. I was trying to illustrate it, but it doesn't... I'm looking at the screen. It's silly. It doesn't make it clear. So instead, what I'm going to do is I actually have some videos that I quickly just put together from YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and play those videos for you. But let's start with the easy one. I'm going to show you guys a tornado kick because we all agree that that's totally legal in the creative division. It's 360. Let's see if is this a good video? All right, hold on one second, guys. I just want to verify that this is the appropriate. Sure, there we go. That's totally legal. We're gonna play that one. All right, guys. So let's watch a tornado kick. Okay, this will be a good educational piece for everybody because we all agree already that this is in fact within the rules. So we're gonna count how many spins in the air that this competitor has now, or this kick. Now, actually, let me specify something else. I want to introduce you guys to one more concept. It's going to make talking about this a lot easier. So instead of talking about number of spins, I'm going to talk about in-air stance changes. Okay? So it's the same thing. It's just a different way. It's like miles versus kilometers, right? It's just a different unit of measurement. We're talking about the same thing. The reason I want to talk about in-air stance changes is because when we count martial arts techniques, we don't count by the actual degrees. So there's no kick that has 265 degrees or a kick that has 361 degrees. We can't pull out our protractors in the middle of a form and measure to that specificity. So we have a basic understanding that we measure by the half rotations. So if you did a if you did a back leg round kick, so you start here and you kicked over, your body did a 180 stance change because you started facing this way and then you went here, 180, one in the air stance change. Or, well, if it was a jump kick. So if I'm going to do a 360, take off my headphones here. That's why I got the spinny office chair. Okay, so if I started here and I went in the air and I landed here, how many in-air stance changes was that? Let's count. Ready? Here's my first in-air stance change, 1, and I finish back here, 2 in-air stance changes. So in the creative division, you're allowed to have 2 in-air stance changes. You can either have 0 in-air stance changes, 1 in-air, or 2. That's it. That's what the rules say. That's what it is. Does that all make sense to everybody? We're on the same page? All right, let's check this video out with that new way to measure spins so we can all count together. All right, I know this is like ABCs, but it's ABCs for me, but it might be a new concept. So we got to start from the basics. We're going to watch a tornado kick here, all right? I'm going to slow it down. Okay, here it is. This is the moment of takeoff. About 1 frame after this, he's actually going to exit the ground. Notice where he's facing. He's facing here, which is backside, if you guys care about tricking. This is backside stance. He's facing this direction. Okay. And let's boom. All right, touchdown. Here is where he puts his foot down. His body, relatively, is facing over here now. Not completely, but enough where I would count that as a 1 in-air stance change. He changed 180 degrees. Now, a lot of people, that's going to blow your mind right now because you know where I'm going with this if you think ahead. A tornado kick is a 180-degree stance change, not a 360. Okay? So, boom. There it is. Now, some people are going to go, well, on my tornado kick, I put my foot all the way in the back. Well, if you do that kind of stuff, then there's no way for us to all be on the same page. Again, it goes back to counting the number of spins in the air. It's the only way we can all be on the same page with everything. That's how spins ought to be counted. So, boom, tornado kick. All right, so we get it, right? We're going to watch this one more time, and you guys can count it. I'll count it with you. There's 1 change there. Pop. Perfect. Y'all get that, right? All right, great. So I'm gonna now jump over into another kick, which is unquestionable. Y'all agree that this kick is allowed in the creative division. Jump, spin, kick. Slow motion. Let's see if I can find one on YouTube. Jump, spinning, karate, crescent, kick. How to taekwondo, ginger. Yeah. Oh, that's a great one. I like that. That's a great video. Okay. Let me just replay this. All right. So let's look at the Pop 360. We all agree the Pop 360 is within the legal bounds of the what's allowed. Okay, so here it is. He's facing one direction. Okay. And whoop, right here, 1 in-air stance change. He has changed his body to face the other way while he's in the air. Now he's going to execute the kick. Great. And he lands, boom, facing the other way. It was a 2 in-air stance change. Okay? He rotated his body from one direction to another, boom. So 0, 1, 2. That's 2 in-air stance changes. Jump, spin, wheel. We all get it, right? It makes sense. Give me floating thumbs up if you're with me, you're following me with the logic. Okay? All right, so now that we have a basic understanding of how to count spins in the air, let's apply that to something that the judges say is illegal. But it's not. It's not illegal. They disqualify you because they don't know how to count. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry. Well, maybe the judges do know how to count. I don't know why they disqualify people, but as long as the creative division has been around, they've been disqualifying people for these moves, and it shouldn't happen. The first kick we're going to be talking about is the 540 kick. That's right. The creative division, per the rules of the 360-degree spin rule, should allow the 540 kick. Let's break down why. Now, for those of you that are kind of new and you're like, well, it says 540 in the name. It's not 360. It says 540. Don't worry about the name. The name is totally messed up. It doesn't make any sense. It was created in an era where people were just trying to they didn't know how to count. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we call the move a 540, because you do not spin 540 degrees in the air. But let me show you. All right. Here it is. All right. So the 540 kick, again, this is Ninja Ginger Trickster guy. He's got a cool YouTube channel. Oh, that was really fast. Can we do this here? Thank you for the slow motion. Okay. And broop. All right. This is the moment where he's about to leave the air. Okay. This is takeoff. He's facing one direction on takeoff. The same exact direction, just like a tornado kick. Everything is the exact same as tornado right now. Okay? And he's going to go... All right. There's one in-air stance change. He has now completed 180 degrees in the air. All right? Let's keep it playing. Bam. He's landed. Look where he's landed. He's landed back. That's 2 in-air stance changes. That's 360 degrees. That's completely within the rules of the creative division of NASKA. There's no way you can argue math with me. You can be yelling at me until you're blue in the face. You can say anything you want. You can talk about how this isn't how the creative division is supposed to be. Blah, 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 blah. Don't care. That's what the rules state. Okay? And then again, I gotta slow down because this is something that I've held back in for many years is frustration, and I know that a lot of people have this frustration. That's completely legal. Now, if you don't want it to be legal in the creative division, then you got to make better rules that say that it's not legal. But it's not fair for competitors to have the same set of rules, read the same set of rules, and then understand when you travel and spend thousands of dollars to go to a tournament, you spend hundreds of hours training for your form per the rules that you thought was legal, and then the judges come up to you and go, "You're disqualified because that's wrong." It's not wrong. That's what the rules say. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about another kick here that's totally within the bounds of the creative division. Again, blowing your mind. We were going to go up from a 540 kick, and now we're going to jump ahead into a higher number rotation. We're going to jump ahead into the cheat 720. 720? Well, that's twice as much as a 360. Is it? Not really. It's called a cheat 720, but you're not actually spinning 720 degrees in the air. A pop 720, yes, but a pop 720 hyper technically, but not a cheat 720. Let me show you. Let's break it down. All right, cheat 720. This is just some random video I found on YouTube, but it does justice. It does what I needed. Okay, let's watch it first. Okay, we all agree that that is, in fact, a cheat 720. I'll play it one more time. There shouldn't be any objection here. Okay, so he goes 1, 2, kick, right? Okay, great. So let's break it down as we've done with everything else. All right, here is the moment of takeoff. At this point in time, he has now spun 180 degrees in air. At this point in time, he has now spun 2 stance changes, 360 degrees. And now he's landed still facing that direction. That is 2 in-air stance changes. That is a 360-degree spin. Cool? Great. Does that blow your mind? Wow, cheat 720 is allowed in creative? No, it's not allowed. You'll get disqualified. But why? It's because judges don't know how to count. 1, 2, bam. So there you go. Now, a judge might argue, they might pull out that stupid rule that I showed you earlier saying that it must not be gymnastics, but what does that even mean? How is a cheat 720 a gymnastics move? All right, one more, well, no, I got 2 more tricks for you that's going to blow your mind. All right, so what happens when you combine a 540 kick and a cheat 720 kick together? Well, you get a move called the jackknife. Let's take a look at the jackknife. I did not find a video before this thing popped up, so what do you guys all say? Carrie says, my son does a 540 to a knee in his creative form. Now, Carrie, I mean, you can maybe the rules have changed, but a lot of times the judges will allow a 540 kick where you land both feet at the same time. I'm talking about the true 540 where you kick over and you land on your hyper leg. I've never seen it in the creative division in the 10 plus years. Never seen it. I've seen the tornado kick where you spin a little extra and you land facing a different direction, but not the actual regular old 540. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let's see. Jaime, let's see if he's gonna give me a slow motion one, buddy, so I can put it on the show. Ooh, yeah. Okay, this guy, I love this guy's kicks. There's a lot of kickers out there that got abilities you'll never see in NASKA. And this is one of the reasons why, because NASKA is not really fair. All right, so, well, most sport martial arts. So let's count. Let's first watch the beauty of a slow motion jackknife, so we know what move we're talking about. Jackknife. You do one kick, and you spin around, and then you pop that other one out. Ah, that's a good kick. Oh man, that was tasty. Let's count it, guys. Let's count it. All right, so he hasn't left the ground yet. He hasn't. There it is. Okay, this is right before he's about to go airborne. Airborne and bloop. There is a 180-degree spin in the air. And then there's that kick. And then there's the second stance change, the 360-degree spin. There's the kick. He's still facing that way. 2 in-air stance changes in the air. All he's done is a 540 kick and a 720, cheat 720 in the same kick trick, same number of rotations. He hasn't broken the rules. That's right. That is right. What I just showed you is that a jackknife is a legal movement in the creative division. Wait, we can't do 540s, we can't do cheat 720s, but you're telling me we can do jackknives too? That's what the rules say. Is that what the judges say? No. Okay? So this is just hopefully you guys are following along. Hopefully you guys are understanding this stuff. Okay, I see some wows. Who's that? Whose mind am I blowing here? Carrie says, yeah, regular 540 is not allowed. Exactly. So Carrie, what the heck is the difference between a tornado kick where you land both feet at the same time and a tornado kick where you land on the kicking leg? Same number of rotations in the way that you're illustrating it to me, what you're calling a 540. So this is where the inconsistency happens, okay? This is where it's not fair. All right, I got one more move for you. Maybe I have 2. Yeah, let's do 2. Yeah, let's do 2 moves. Let's absolutely destroy the creative division. I want to make the creative division just die. Not die. I want to have the rules fair. I want to have the rules adjusted and applied fairly. So we're going to look at another move which is absolutely 100% unquestionably forbidden. Oh, well, before I show you what's forbidden, let me show you what is totally legal. We're going to show you, everybody does the butterfly kick, right? So let's start there. Here, 120 frames a second, butterfly kick. Let's watch this kid. I've never seen this video. I'm assuming it's correct. All right. Yep, there you go, the butterfly kick. Now, when we start talking about movements like this, we have to start counting in-air stance changes and rotations differently because our body is now on a different axis. So now instead of counting left to right, you have to count floor to sky, right? You have to count down and up. So in this case, the butterfly kick has 0 in-air stance changes. See, notice he's facing the ground the whole time. 0 spins. Okay? Makes sense? Makes sense? Great. We have no qualms with that. So what happens if we do a illusion kick, which is also allowed in the creative division? Let's see if I can find a good illusion kick. What is an illusion? Not gymnastics. No. It's a harder kick to find on YouTube in slow motion. Let me make sure this is the right. Yeah, no. That's a bad kick. Let me try another one. 1-minute illusion kick tutorial. Oh, Ethan, what's up, buddy? You gonna show us how to do a kick? Let's see. Oh, no, that's a different kind of illusion. Well, darn. All right, I don't have an example for you. I'm just gonna jump ahead, okay? I was gonna show you the next level that everybody allows in the creative division, but we're just going to jump ahead, and I'm going to show you a butterfly twist. Yep, gasp! Butterfly twist is legal. Sorry to say, it's legal, with an exception. Just like the butterfly kick has an exception where your hips must be below your head, a butterfly twist should be legal as long as your hips are below your head. Check this out. All right, so butterfly twist, facing down. He's looking at the ground. Oh, I skipped ahead too high, but now his chest is facing up, so that's one in-air stance change. And then, his body faces down when he finishes the kick. So that is 2 in-air stance changes. His head actually never went below his hips in every way that you judge the creative vision based on the rules of no inverts and no more than 360 degrees. That is a legal maneuver. Watch again. Facing down, head above hips, pretty much above hips, enough for creative at least. And there's his first in-air stance change. There's his second in-air stance change. Bam! All right. So there you go. All right. I think that's enough. There's a few more movements. I could talk about the double leg as well. You kind of see double legs in competition once in a while, more like a parafuso style. Both your legs are together. The only difference between a jump spin wheel kick or a jump 360 crescent kick in a double leg is that your legs are together versus one leg. But it's the same number of rotations, so double legs also should be allowed. Butterfly twist round should be allowed. A butterfly twist double leg variation, which is very rare, what most people watching this probably don't even know what that is, should be allowed. All right, so there we go. That's kind of like, I wanted to get that off my chest. I've been holding that back for a long time. All of these movements are totally technically allowed. Now, there's a lot of other movements that get people scratching their head going, is this legal? Is this not? So what I'm going to offer you guys is a solution. This is a way to protect yourself in competition with rules that aren't clear, by judges that have their own version of the rules, by fellow competitors that have their own version of the rules. This is what you need to do. Every time you have a creative division form and you do any movement that you think has any level of controversy, whether you're willing to try to do a 540 or a jackknife, and I don't blame you if you never tried to do any of these kicks in creative. Like, why get disqualified after hundreds and hundreds of hours and traveling and spending thousands of dollars just to get disqualified? Like, is it worth proving the point? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you if you want to like take it there and be willing to like put yourself out there. But in either case, there's a lot of other movements where it's not, it's controversial. So what I recommend you do is film it, whether you film it before the competition starts or at the competition, I don't care. And then once you film it, just like I broke it down for you, you want to screenshot all of the motions. So just how I illustrated to you, we counted stance changes. 180 spin is 1 in-air stance change. A 360 spin is 2 in-air stance changes. Screenshot each motion. Each time there's an in-air stance change so that you can see the breakdown. And then if anybody has any problems, you can go check it out piece by piece. Take a look, count it. Here's the rule book. Tell me how what I'm doing is wrong. I think that's the best way to protect yourself. I think that's going to have to open some eyes. They're going to have to do a lot of explaining with no really good answers if they're still going to disqualify you. The judges are getting a little bit more savvy about how to spin, how to count some rotations that are vertical, but they're not. It boggles their mind when it comes to hyper kicks like 540s and stuff, even though it's the same number of rotations. Jeannie Jones says it doesn't specify in air. That's right, it does not specify in air. Why I am specifying in air is because spins aren't specified, period. That's where the confusion comes into play. They just say spin, and everybody has a different interpretation of when a spin counts. So let me show you. Let's just jump back to this kid, okay? All right, I know he's doing a 540 kick, but it doesn't matter. It's the same principles. So if we don't have a qualifier for what constitutes as a spin, then I have a bunch of ways that I could count this, right? So let's count it. Let's count a bunch of ways, right? So I could say, okay, he's starting facing this way. So there's a half spin. There's a 360 spin. There's a 540 spin. There's a 720 spin. Dang, he did 720. That's how I chose to count it. So if you don't have a standard way to count the rotations, then everybody has their own way to count spins. That's why I'm saying we really got to have in-air rotations as the only qualifier, because it's left. There's no subjectivity. There's very little subjectivity left. It's whether you're touching the ground or you're not. Andrew says it's also easy to say about a quarter of the forms in Japanese and Korean should fall under the creative. I don't know, man. Maybe. Andrew says, note that the original labeling of creative is hard creative, so all those people doing butterfly kicks should get DQ'd. Well, no, that's just dumb. It explicitly says it in the rule book that butterfly kicks are allowed. And I don't think that the creative division was ever called hard creative in the last 12 years. Maybe like in ancient 90s days before the internet. The internet was still in black and white, but no, you can do whatever you want. It's creative division. This is very ambiguous. Needs updating, sure. We all want to be within the rules while allowing our competitors to be creative. Yeah, so like I said, what you should do is probably screenshot your forms, and then when you do your form and the judges give you a hard time, or somebody gives you a hard time, you just say, hey. All right, so I'm going to show you guys a form now that happened at Diamond Nationals last weekend. I got permission from the parents to show this, so because I didn't want to just call, and I didn't want to put anybody on blast or anything, but they were cool with it. There was a controversial moment. I'm sure there was other controversial moments. This is just the one I heard of, where a competitor, people weren't sure if the competitor was legally allowed to do his trick or his kick. Let me double check the video before we go here. Let's see. 1 second here. Bump, 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 bump. Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up, buddy. Oh, that's an interesting note. Okay. All right. Well, that'll get the point across. Okay, we're gonna watch. He's 12 years old. I think his name is, or I know his name. I don't know his age. I think he's 12. It's Colin O'Brien. Cool kid. He's a cool kid. Colin is an awesome competitor. I love watching this kid compete. So we're gonna count his spins. I'm gonna just let it play out, and then you can see where the controversial kick happens. There it is. There's the controversial kick. Was that more than 360 degrees? All right, let's check it out. Let's count based off of our way that we count things. Based off of the universal accepted way that we have established in this live video today, where it's not ambiguous, it is just clear cut yes and no. Okay? All right, so let's go. I think he does a little master scoot here, or a little scoot. Okay. All right, so let's begin the counting. So far, he has not left the ground. Not left the ground. Okay, he left the ground facing... Oh, I'm backwards. Facing the left, okay? He's facing the left, which is called front side. All right, in air, there... Boom, he just did 180 degrees in air, facing backside, and now he's going to execute a kick. Boom, there's the kick. He lands back to front side. So if we counted, he started front side, he went backside, and went back to front side. So if you go to backside, that's 1, and then you go back to front side, that's 2. 2 in-air stance changes. That is a legal technique. Judges had a problem, or I don't know. The judges had to get like the tournament promoter involved with this one to review it, and they did allow him to do the move, and I think that was the right call. Now, I just was watching this, and I'm going to point out something that's hilarious. It's not that important, but I'm going to show you another example why the creative division rules are not well thought out. And this has to do with inverts. So Colin does a cool little kick here. Now remember, the invert rule says that your head can never go below your hips. That's what an invert is. They later had to update the rules to allow for forward rolls and kip-ups because those are fundamental martial arts movements that do involve your head to be below your hips at some point. But that's still the rules. All right, Colin, you're disqualified, buddy. I think your head is below your hips on this kick. So you apparently you can be inverted. You can have your hips above your head as long as the judges don't think it's extreme, right? But the rules say that you can't actually do that. Maybe you can argue his head was above his hips there, but let's just pretend that it wasn't, because you see it all the time. Or you see someone do a 180 side kick where their head dips super low and they kick super high. Well, your head's below your hips. Why isn't that DQ'd? So anyhow, Colin, thank you for letting us show off your form and talk about the rules here today. Appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm going to check your comments real quick. Let's see what you guys have to say. And then I'm going to end this live feed today by offering you guys some food for thought, some rules that I think should be implemented into the creative division and how we can make the division better. So stay tuned for that. Let's see what you guys got to say in the chats. All right. Had no idea the history of the creative category and the issues with it. Yep. The rules seem to magically change every tournament. Exactly. There are 3 different rules for team sparring. Okay, that's not relevant. Kempo is supposed to be. That's not relevant. This is the 10-11 division I was referring to. Judges did not know that the rule existed. That was the biggest concern. So, yeah, again, every judge, and here's another problem. I can't 100% hate on the judges because most of these judges aren't paid. They're volunteers. What do you expect out of them? I mean, how much can you get for free work, right? That being said, they absolutely should know the rules. And part of the problem with them not being able to know the rules is because the rules suck. They're not clearly labeled. They're not listed out in a way that everybody can understand. And that is a problem when it comes to tournament time, but it also is a problem in a way that we don't see because this leaves the competitors with a feeling of not being sure what they can and can't do. So they're going to train at home and they're going to do a form that they think is dealt well within the rule set, but then another competitor may look at the rules and go, well, if I argue it, I'm right, so I'm going to do a more advanced routine. And then it's going to come down to the judges. And if the judges go, oh yeah, they're right, they did argue their way into it, the 540 kick is allowed, now suddenly there's an uproar. Why does he get to do a 540 but I don't? Well, that's the ambiguity here. That's because we don't all have the same understanding of what the rules say are and aren't allowed. Point fighting is a lot easier. It's like that's worth 1 point, side kick's worth 2, jump spin 3 point. It's not. It's way more cut and dry. Like this is how many this points is. This is allowed. This is not allowed. The creative form division is just. It's just not well thought out. I'm sorry. Phil says, not sure where you stand, Jacob. Could you please share your true feelings? No, Phil, I think I'm going to hold back and reserve my true feelings here. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead and I'm going to share my suggestions on how we can fix the creative division. These are some rules that I have, and I'm going to just kind of bounce through them real quick. I actually wrote this massive article that I wrote it like, I don't know, earlier in the year, so it was like 6 months ago or something, about the creative division, and then I just haven't shared it. Maybe I should share it, but I'm just going to recap with you some of the rules. So I think that there are 4 rules that are going to make the creative division better. Rule 1, and we haven't talked about this today, but I believe that the purpose and the true spirit of the creative division is to illustrate martial arts mechanics in a creative way. And because the creativity thing has kind of been unleashed and you kind of like, you can do whatever you want, sort of, we've lost some things in the creative division. And I think one of the things that we have lost is some of the core mechanics and to really stressing them. I want competitors to win that are well-rounded martial arts athletes. They can do great stances. They can do great hands. They can do great kicks. They can do great jump kicks, standing kicks, all the stuff. So the first rule I would say is reintroduce essential core martial arts mechanics that have largely been lost in today's iteration of creative division. And by that, I particularly mean that the division should require, just like the extreme division requires an invert and it requires more than 360-degree spins in their form, the creative division should require certain types of movements in your form. And I think one of those things should be standing kicks. I think you should have to be able to do standing kicks, and I would argue that you should have to be able to do multiple kicks without setting your foot down. A lost art, very, very difficult skill set. It takes a lot of practice to be good at, but people just give up their training time for that, instead focus on tricks. And then they go compete in the extreme division, then they water down their routine for creative, and then we have what we have today. So I would definitely reinforce the essential martial arts mechanics. The second thing I would do of the four things is I would clarify language on restrictions, particularly in regards to what counts as a spin and an invert. So that's what this whole live stream has been about. There's no clarity as to what constitutes as a spin. So I'm introducing to you guys today the idea that spins count as in-air rotations. It's basically the moment your body leaves the ground to the moment it touches the ground. And we only measure on 180-degree measurements in air stance changes, right? We don't want to measure 265 versus 275, 361 versus 359 degrees. We don't have a protractor. We can't be that precise, but we can measure 180 versus 360 versus 540. We can round in that way. And so we should only count when you leave the ground and how many in-air stance changes happen during that time period. The third rule that I would do is I would call for the acceptance of a series of techniques that already meet the criteria in the current... What did I even say? Let me reread it before I just say it. Call for the acceptance of a series of techniques that already meet the criteria in the current set of rules with long condition, as well as for certain non-streams. Okay, so the third thing I would do is I would actually lay it out. And I would say that this is allowed, this isn't allowed, this is allowed, this isn't allowed, this is allowed, this isn't allowed. And you build that repertoire of things that are allowed and aren't allowed. And every time that there is a controversy in the ring and the judges have to figure it out, well, they figure out what technique that was, and then they add it to the rule book. And they say, okay, we deemed this as legal and this as illegal. And you just keep building it up. So after years of everybody kind of playing with the boundaries and the limitations of the rules, we can have a little bit more concrete things so that a parent or a competitor can pull out a rule book and go, yes, I can do that. Now, that does get tricky when we all have different names for different techniques, so we can save that conversation for another time, but I think we should talk about a different naming convention. There's a naming convention out there called TKT. Hyper Trick School implements it, and it is a universal, it's a mathematical way to count things, so it's not ambiguous. Earlier in the show, we talked about how a 540 kick is not actually 540 degrees. It's only 360 degrees, but it's called a 540. Well, TKT, which stands for True Kicking Terminology, would not call that a 540. It would call it a cheat 360 round, or katana, cheat 360 katana. So we can talk about that. This is a whole different animal. All right, and then the fourth update I would do in the creative vision is I would offer a challenge system in the event the competitor believes they were improperly disqualified. Right now, as far as my understanding goes, there's not a straightforward this is how you challenge the judging. But I do think that there needs to be something in there, kind of like in the NFL when they have instant replays and the coach can throw out the red flag and then the referees have to figure it out. I think that there needs to be some sort of systematic way for you to be able to challenge the ruling. Maybe not what they score, but if they disqualify you and for these gray area things. Phil says, does NASKA have a yearly or otherwise regularly scheduled meeting to look at these types of issues? Can the community call for one? So I was recently informed by Mike Sawyer, I believe, that technically before every big NASKA event, they will allow for time if somebody wants to kind of like present an idea to the promoters. And I've thought about doing that, but I'm just like, I got a lot of things going. When I go to a tournament, I got 100 things I personally have to worry about. But yes, if you want to go ahead and you want my support with that, and you want to make a presentation, make sure you're educated, make sure you know what you're talking about. The last thing I want to do is have somebody make a presentation and they're angry, and then we make more rules that make less sense. So make sure that you have a very clear vision. But yeah, they do allow for people to apparently offer new suggestions for how NASKA can improve. I've never been part of these meetings. I just told they exist. Maybe someone should share this on the NASKA site. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to update the rules. Jeremy, yeah, they do have promoters meetings. Yeah. What other comments we got in here? AJ Rendo says maybe we can do the NASKA tiebreak rules next week. So, honestly, I don't even know what those are. I don't know how they do tiebreakers. Like, every time, I don't know. Isn't it just like whatever the judges feel like? Maybe there are rules. I'll go read the NASKA rule book. Check it out. I'm not educated enough in that. I haven't spent 10 years brewing about that one to really know the best solution there. I feel like the thing we're talking about today is like such a way bigger problem because it affects every single competitor. It affects every single way we train. The tiebreaker is just one little, nuanced thing that only applies once in a while and to only two people in the ring, not the whole thing. But every sport's going to have rules that are inconsistent and that don't make sense. They need updating and they need clarity, and it's just an evolving process, and this is another step in that evolution. ProMac has much clearer rules. I was kind of chatting a little bit with Jeff Doss, the president of NBL, and their creative division rules appear to be way more clear. It sounded like there was some issues on it, and maybe I can have Jeff Doss come in as a guest, and we can kind of talk about this whole topic and in the NBL's perspective on the creative division. ATA also has a creative division set of rules. I don't know theirs 100%. I think, and I find this very interesting, I believe in order to compete in creative and extreme in the ATA tournament circuit, you have to compete in traditional in order to even qualify for the extreme stuff, which I think is really cool. That forces you to really focus your training time on bettering your basics, your solid foundation, and building off of that. I think that's a cool idea. I think a lot of competitors these days, they just want to win in the extreme division, and so they're just like, I'm going to train to win this division, and then maybe they'll lose some of the raw mechanics that they probably should have been studying. That's a philosophical thing for another day, just a subjective thing. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Had a lot of people tuning in. My throat is dry from just rambling on. This has been a long chat. If you're interested in checking out this thing, or checking out the article I wrote a little while ago, maybe I'll publish it. I'm not really sure. Let me know your feedback on that. It's a long one. But I do have, if everybody that's still tuning in, and if you're watching the replay, I really wanted to say this at the top of the show, and I totally forgot. And I'll bring it up again tomorrow. But I do have a request for everybody watching the show today. October is Bully Defense Month across the world, and basically Hyper, I'm very much involved with Hyper. We have this movement. It's called the Hyper Bully Defense Movement. We do it twice a year, and October is one of the times we do it. And we try to really reach out to community leaders, and we try to reach out to parents and athletes and role models, and we try to bring awareness and to build this cool movement to inspire people to not be bullies. And if you're interested in being part of that movement, just send me a private message after the show and we can chat a little bit. I would really love it. It's really easy. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. It's just like a social media campaign that you can participate in. So if you're interested in doing that, hit me up after the show. It's an important issue. Not relevant to everything that's been going on the last hour, except maybe I was being a bully to NASKA. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. This is episode 16, and the more you guys participate in the show, the more you share it. Hit that share button right now. Oh my gosh, I haven't told you. Hit the share button. Share. The more you guys share the show, and the more you like, the more you leave comments, the more the show grows, the more viewers that come in, the more resources I'm going to put into making the show worth your time. So anyhow, that's going to cut it. That's going to do it for today. I hope you all have an awesome day. Keep training. Keep being awesome. Talk to you later.